Hello, friends! Welcome back to another reading wrap up. This will hopefully be the last one that is 2 months at a time. Um, my shirt's all sorts of funky. We will be talking about what I read in August and what I read in September. Um, Not a whole ton of books. I don't know why I said it like that. Books these 2 months. I feel like I had a little bit of a slow couple months, but that's fine. We're gonna get right into it. First two books I read in August. I read Nightbirds and then Fyrebirds by Katie J. Armstrong. Fyrebirds was an arc of the second book, so we were still in some of the arc territory because I've had quite a few this year. So this whole thing is there are Nightbirds. They have magic. Very 1920s, like flapper vibes. And they give their magic away by a kiss. So they are protected. They each have a bird kind of alias, I guess would be the correct word. And one of them is like brought from an island. Like these nightbirds are controlled. It's almost like a controlled substance because they can only they have to willingly give you their kiss. So people like pay to go and have blessing from the nightbird. So it could be like luck or just kind of things like that. And shit goes down real fast. Trying to describe it in a way that doesn't give the whole damn story away, you know? So we're just gonna put it's probably gonna be spoilers. It's hard to talk about this one without spoiling all the fun, good things. There's a ruckus that happens. One of the nightbirds is attacked because the other reason too it's kind of held like a controlled substance is if you kiss a nightbird too many times, like people become intoxicated by their magic. So one thing is like they'll end up having suitors to be like, yes, this is suitable, so that they can basically have constant access to said nightbird. And one of the main nightbirds, she doesn't want to be married. She doesn't want any of that. And let's just say like things start to happen in the kingdom where they are, and it gets women are getting stolen. There's thieveries, there's heists, and the Nightbirds eventually become Fyrebirds. Fyrebirds are of legend, and they're Nightbirds who had their power untapped because before it was like, oh, they can only give it through a kiss. They cannot use their magic for themselves. And what happens when women are powerful? Men go to fucking war and do some dumb shit. I thought it was really good. I think Nightbirds was definitely stronger than Fyrebirds, only because I feel like the ending was kind of like rushed-ish. Like if it had like maybe like 20 or 30 more pages, I feel like I would have had enough space. But yeah, I thought they were really interesting. I thought the take on the magic system was really, really cool. So that is Nightbirds and Fyrebirds by Katie J. Armstrong. All right, here we go. Now we're going into controversial territory. I read Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Most of this book could have been a fucking email, okay? I think I said the first 70% of it could have been a fucking email. I don't know if I'm just not vibing. I still don't like Dane. I still don't like Xaden. Liam still deserved better. Her sister got a little bit more interesting because now it's like, this is the whole continuation of the story, and they're like, hey, she's like, hey, I'm part of this rebellion now. Like, let's fucking go. But most of it was just so repetitive of Violet being like, what will Xaden think? What will Xaden think? Girl, you have 2 fucking dragons. He is not the most important thing. I don't know. And I know this is like a really popular book, so most people have read it. I don't want to spoil all of it. I did get a little shocked at the end just because of her mom. I didn't think her mom would do something like that. But I stand by 70% of this should have been an email, and I think it's because Fourth Wing had such popularity. I think the publishing company pushed Rebecca to write it so quickly because it came out like less than a year after Fourth Wing. So I'm waiting to see if book 3 is any better, just because it has had actual like space to marinate and to have ideas put and to like really think it out and not just push out a book. So yeah, I'm not necessarily like it's fine. It is not my Roman Empire. Like a lot of people. Iron Flame should have been an email. Next one I have is it is an arc, but also isn't an arc. It's an arc because it was coming to a U.S. publisher now, but it is The Witch of Colochis. I'm fucking that up so horribly by Rosie Hewlett. So this is a retelling of the Witch Medea. We got Greek mythology, badass bitches, and it shows like what happened to her. Girl was locked up, locked away. You've got the Argonauts, you've got Jason, he comes and is like, oh, I love you, and I'm gonna just like this whole thing. And so it's just the retelling of her origin story of how she became this terrifyingly powerful witch. I thought it was really, really good because I have tried to do mythology retellings. I tried to read the Song of Achilles, and I was so goddamn bored. I think I made it 50 pages and I said, I can't do this. So I was a little nervous going into this one, but I think it was done really, really well. And she maintains being interesting, and the story maintains being interesting the entire time. So it made me want to go back because, like, I read mythology, like, when I was little, like, that was one of those weird things we did in school at one point. So I had minimal background on her, and it made me want to go back, and now I want to like actually do more research about her and learn more about Medea, and then go back and reread this so I can kind of see the connections. But yeah, so that was that one. The next one we've got is The Siren of Samsara by McKenzie. Hatton, my sweet boy phantom, my pirate man with the most manners. I love him, and apparently there's going to be another book in this series. I thought this was the last one, and then just McKenzie Hatton just taking my heart. I was like, I need it now. So this one follows Phantom, and this is the continuation when his oh my gosh, I can't think of the main female character's name. But I think he calls her his songbird. Because of course now that I'm talking about it, I can't remember any details. She gets taken back by his ex-best friend, who works with the Navy still. He works with his dad, like, and it's just like all the people from the island that he saves, and he really loves, like, men have been taken and nobody's ever seen them again. So he goes back and says, I'm taking her, like, let's see what's going on. And you uncover how horrible of a human being her father is. And just how much of a badass Phantom is. Like, I love this pirate story. I love these characters. I like the magic system is really interesting. Like, you find out more about Phantom because he's like has this beast, and you're like, well, what the hell? This doesn't really get explained. And you find out more about it and why he is so drawn to our main female character. Like, from the first book, before he really even talked to her, he was like, something is there. And so it's super fucking interesting. It's really sad, but it's also really fucking interesting. So if you want a good pirate book that is mostly like more than probably, or at least like 70 to 75% of the book is in Phantom's point of view. It does flip to the girl a few times, if I'm remembering correctly, but it is from him. He's a pirate. He steals, he kills, but he's still wholesome in his own way. And I really love Phantom, and I just want more male characters written like him. I want more books in male characters' point of views that has like he does. That's not a sentence. Is as well written as he is. There we go. All right. So then the next one I read, it was kind of like let me just pick this up off Kindle Unlimited, but it's called The Problem with Pixies by Kat Healy. It is, you've got a witch trying to hide her magic. Like, she's got a siphoning ring because there's a curse on her family, and she said, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna figure it out. So she stole the grimoire of her family. She drives to this little town. It kind of gives, like, the house, the way it's described in, like, the town, it very much so gives me Practical Magic vibes. I think it's in Massachusetts, like Practical Magic was. But it's like, I think there's like 4 or 5 books. It's like less than 300 pages a piece, if even that much. They might be like less than 200. But it kind of just has like the like spooky autumnal vibes, like feel good little jazz. But yeah, it's really cute. There's potentially, like, there's hints that maybe a romance is going to happen. But I do think that the romance is gonna kind of be like on the side, and it's not just a romantasy, which is nice. But yeah, and it also shows how pixies can be little bastards, and people always think, oh my god, they're so little and cute. No. So it's interesting. There's a lot of interesting characters, and I'm excited to see how that progresses. Yeah. Now we are in September. We've got 2 arcs this month that I read. The first one is The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. So I've only ever read one short story by Mary Pearson, and that was Morgan or Morgan. I think it was Morgan. So The Courting of Bristol Keats is Bristol Keats, her parents gone, dead. She's the oldest of 3 sisters, and she has this aunt who keeps trying to get her to like come and like buy paint, like get these paintings so she can sell it and take care of her family. And eventually she says, you know what, I have to take care of my sisters. I have to take care of, you know, my family. And lo and behold, there's Fae. And things with Fae never go quite as anyone planned. And so it progresses. She goes to the land of Fae. They want her to find something. She's apparently very good at finding things that normal people can't find. Kind of like she could find a door or a map or things like that. And there is some romance. It's called The Courting of Bristol, but it's got like political intrigue. There is betrayal. I was not the biggest fan of this because it felt like clunky in the story. Like, it just kind of switched, and like the romance, the way that it was written, at least the pacing, was not it for me. It wasn't exactly insta love, but it wasn't built up in a way I would have liked it. So, and apparently this is her first either just adult fantasy or new adult fantasy. I'm not sure specifically where it would fall under. But yeah, so that was a little not my favorite for that month. Then I read When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. This is the first Veronica Roth book I have ever read. I did not grow up being a Divergent girly. Like, I read The Hunger Games, and that was the end of my dystopian reads. I loved this book. I thought it was fucking fantastic. I loved the magic system. I wish it was longer. I wish it had, like, I wish there was a full-on book, a big ass meaty book about this. Because I think it's only like 200 pages. It's very little. It's probably like this thick when you actually have the physical book, which I did borrow from my library, which was nice. But yeah, it is. You've got Baba Yaga in it, like multiple different creatures, and like talking about their habits and like how they're different, like the rules, and it was just really, really interesting. And again, I just wish it was longer. I would definitely recommend to read this. Again, it's not like the dystopian from the little bit I do know about Divergent. It's very different. It's very, very fantasy. But if you're interested in, like, maybe if you're in a reading slump, I would recommend this. It was good. It was interesting. I liked it. I definitely want to add it to my own personal collection. Yeah. When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. The next one was fucking weird. we're going to be very honest here. It is called How to Be Eaten by Maria Adelmann. So this was like a retelling of different fairy tales. So you've got like Red Riding Hood and the Wolf. And it was done in like a very like adult themes. Like, you know, one of them, like she's, I don't even know how to describe it. But basically the whole point of this book is there's 5 women who have had very strange things happen to them. Thus the fairy tale retelling scenario. And they all come to this support group, which has been emailing them and like kind of being like, hey, and they're like, spam mail. And they're like, you know, maybe I need to talk about the things that happened to me. So each one is talking like there's a different week, and you're hearing each one of these women's story. And it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. And the ending, I was so confused. Like, I was like, holy shit. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if you want like a really weird, wild time, I would recommend that one. I yeah, it was very strange. Like some of the fairy tale, I was confused, and like I thought one of the one male character, I thought he was kind of like a retelling of a different story, but I wasn't really sure. So it was very confusing, but I definitely could see why somebody would read that and go, holy shit, this is like fantastic. Just not for me. And then the last book of September, I read a Murakami book. I read The City and Its Uncertain Walls, by Haruki Murakami. I don't think his work is for me. And this technically isn't like a very first time release. This is another one that it is getting it's getting brought overseas. It's getting translated into English, and I said, "You know what? I've never read any of him before. Let's just give it a go." So basically, it starts out our main character. I don't think they ever actually say his name. And if they do, I cannot recall it to save my life. It's, you know, talking about him and his first love when she was like, they were 16 and 17. And she's like, oh, you know, the real me lives in this other place over this big ass wall. So then somehow it ends up he's in this town, and then he doesn't want to be there because they're taking his shadow. And then like you go through him living his normal life after living in that town for a while. Like, it's just, I know it's supposed to be magical realism. I was so confused the whole time. Like, I was like, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. I don't know if it's just because magical realism isn't totally my vibe. So I don't know. It was a weird one. I know there's like a short story that Murakami does, like a book of short stories that is definitely much more, I guess, easy to consume. I don't know if personally if I will ever read any more Murakami. I think that might have been one and done. But if you really like magical realism, or if you have read Murakami before and you like understand his writing style, I would say you would probably be interested in it. Again, just not for little old me. But yeah, so that is all of our books that we read through August and September. I almost did it backwards again. Hell yeah. Let me know what you read. Let me know if you read any of these. Let me know what you've just been up to these last few months since I've been MIA and non-existent. But yeah, thanks as always for hanging out, and I will see you all next time. I think we're gonna do some ARC reviews. Yeah, so that'll be what's coming up. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. Go drink some water. We're all giant weird plants, and we should be hydrated. I got my water. Go get your water. Okay, bye.